In this segment, Stephanie Miller and her guests cover some of the latest big stories from the world of politics. Here's Stephanie.
Well, I don't know what it is currently, but Letitia James, who's the Attorney General of New York State, it seemed, I'm not involved in that at all. I know that it's being handled by various groups, I guess, but it's major fraud, mortgage documents, and fraudulent everything. I think she said the father was her husband, which she had to have a husband, so she chose her father.
Is it your sense that Attorney General James has figured out two things: how to beat Donald Trump in court and how to drive him absolutely insane with statements like that?
Yeah, she has his number for sure. And anybody who's from New York who has been paying any attention for the last many decades knows what makes him tick. And what's so fascinating about this latest chapter in his life is that he's finally reached the end of the road. When he was taking over for my grandfather, or when he was my grandfather's successor and the one who was going to fill my grandfather's ambitions, he didn't need skill. He just needed skill as a real estate developer. He just needed the skill as the arrogant, self-confident, brash guy who played well on television. My grandfather always had hundreds of millions of dollars to prop him up. We know that after my grandfather died, Donald sold the empire lock, stock, and barrel at a loss of approximately $300 million. So he still had some cash on hand to keep it going, and then he kept getting rehabilitated and rehabilitated. A.G. James knows better than anybody else that there's nobody else left to hand Donald a blank check anymore. And that's what keeps him up at night, because he is terrified of having the truth about him be known, not just to other people, but to himself, because that's what's kept him going all these times, all these years. The lie that has become in his own mind the truth about what a great, successful man he is.
The specificity that Trump does, like with numbers that are just complete lies, but the press just eats it up because, it sounds really like he knows. Yeah. And he doesn't. I mean, this one yesterday, Trump said the economy's doing great, stock market higher now than when I came to office. We've had no inflation. There's no inflation. Gasoline's way down. Fact check, the stock market was higher when Joe Biden left office. Definitely, we still have inflation. Grocery prices have risen. Gasoline is not way down. I mean, just every single time he speaks, right?
Yeah, and going back to Donald Trump's worsening mental decline and walking into walls and things like that, that's just the beginning of the list. We can go back to 2018 when he was slurring that speech about Jerusalem and recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and he was God bless the United States and all that stuff. Yeah. And so
yes, God bless
there are
United
so many
States.
Examples of that where they're covering up his medical condition.
I'm sorry,
time
you're talking
and
about
time again.
God bless the United States.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Dr. Bornstein, the late Dr. Bornstein, admitted that Donald Trump dictated his own medical records while sitting in a limo outside Dr. Bornstein's office. There was just a report last week indicating that the White House is only posting 20% of Donald Trump's public remarks. What are they covering up?
Yes,
because it's happening
it's
every week. There seems to be another story about this.
Dr.
And yet
Bornstein.
there's only one book. Only one Jake Tapper book, and it's about Joe Biden, who isn't even president anymore, who's not the fascist authoritarian, unraveling the United States government and destabilizing our society and our economy. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, that's exactly where I land on this. If you're going to do a book about Joe Biden's mental decline, do a book about Donald Trump's mental decline, because I assure you there's way more evidence showing that, and evidence we can see on video.
Because we have eyes and ears.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Bornstein, who ended up dead. Accident, or was it murder? Thank you, Jody. All right.
Yeah, I mean, how many short circuits did we see during his rallies where he says I play the one on my show all the time where he can't even name the name of his own social media app, where he calls it Truth Central, which isn't even close. I guess he got of the words right.
This was yesterday. You campaigned on lowering the price of groceries. How can you justify cutting food assistance in this bill? Trump. The cut's going to give everybody much more food. just,
yes, okay.
The
sure,
thing about
Grandpa.
groceries that he said to the Middle East, who was the leader in the Middle East? The groceries and the
Oh,
thing
yeah,
is-
yeah. The president of the UAE, I believe it was.
God.
Yeah.
Okay. So I saved the nerd one for you.
Okay.
David said Palpatine is building a second Death Star, but Jake Tapper's writing a book about Yoda being too old.
That's accurate.
That's for you, nerd.
Right, I love that.
That's accurate.
Yeah, yeah. The Death Star is going to be loaded with listening devices, and this is just another thing that gets piled onto the slag heap, and I wonder if anyone even cares about that anymore. You know, it seems like it's not resonating, and it should. All these things should be resonating. The story that I think is getting brushed off as being a distraction about Beyonce and Oprah and Bono and Bruce Springsteen, that's actually kind of serious, because that's the president threatening prosecutions against people who opposed him in an election.
Did you see the video
pure,
of the congresswoman they're charging? She obviously was caught in a scrum. You know, I had to watch Thom Hartmann with a not straight face, it's a straight Easter ham face, but he does look exactly like an Easter ham with eyes. But my point is, Bob, he's with a straight face saying we take very seriously, you know, anyone assaulting a police officer. After they just pardoned all the January 6th terrorists, paid off Ashley Babbitt's family, and literally, first of all, it's her job to do oversight. And so she didn't storm the building. She's allowed to be in there. She's obviously in the middle of a scrum, so some ICE agents pushing other ICE agents into her is her assaulting officers. I mean, it's just...
Well, this is the Trump MO. What happens with Donald Trump is all he needs is the slightest shred or appearance of something, and then he can extrapolate out the rest. He can fill in the blanks with disinformation and lies. That's what the whole thing with Zelensky and Burisma and investigating Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. That was just, he actually said to Zelensky, just announce an investigation and I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
So that's what he does. That's what he's doing with this.
My Republicans in Congress is what he said. Do not vote every single one of these MFers out, because this is not just him. They're doing this in the middle of the night. Wallace said the bill they're hiding and voting on at 1 a.m. includes the last-minute $500 billion cut to Medicare. Yes, Medicare, not just Medicaid, Medicare. I mean, where's the media on this? I mean, the COVID vaccine, how many times have we talked, you and Jody and I, about COVID? Wobble says the FDA COVID vaccine shenanigans are actually untenable. What right have they got to prevent anybody from accessing health care that is proven safe and is available to the rest of the world? I pay through the nose through my health insurance. You're damn right I'm going to demand the vaccines I want. Well, we have yet to see how this works, right? Them limiting it to only people over 65 or with a pre-existing condition or whatever, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you watch. I mean, they were denying up and down when RFK Jr. was up for confirmation, denying up and down that he's anti-vax, denying up and down that he's going to ban vaccines. And here we are. They're just moving the ball a little bit further down the field, incrementally boiling the frog, as the saying goes. And this is just another move toward getting rid of vaccines that we need. And the horrendous part about this, other than denying people access to the COVID-19 vaccine, is the fact that they're continuing to demonize mRNA vaccines, which obviously is the kind of vaccine that the COVID vaccine is. And that is being developed now to cure all kinds of cancers. I mean, there are promising developments with mRNA vaccines for things like pancreatic cancer. And at the same time, the Republican Party, the MAGA Republican Party, the MAGA Congress, the MAGA White House is in the process of demonizing mRNA vaccines.